inspired Diverge podcast. We're going to be doing something a little bit different with this reimagining of the podcast. I've downscaled my ambitions substantially, and we're going to do a short cast, micro podcasts weekly, and try to bring you as much of the news and exciting happenings and events going on in mountain biking, trail running, and some road running, some road cycling, some surfing, of course, and adventure racing, gravel biking space. So we're going to try to bring you as much of that as possible. The things that I'm covering anyway, but just try to give you a little bit more of an insight into what's going on the ground, and give you some insights from the participants as well, both elite and amateurs, the age groupers, and the guys that are just doing it for fun, that are the heart and soul of these events. So I hope you join me on this journey with the Diverge podcast, and I hope you enjoy it. So please let me know what you think. Give me your suggestions and feedback, and constructive and deconstructive criticism is always welcome. But let's jump into the first of the new Diverge podcast series. And heading into the busiest time of the year, late October or mid-October, it always starts to get crazy busy. And of course, we've got Wines to Wales, F&B Wines to Wales on the very, very near horizon from the 1st to the 10th of November, starting off with the Chardonnay, which of course is the women's race. They're still waiting for the elite lineups to be announced there, but I'm expecting it to be a very, very fiercely contested battle. Some exciting names. One particularly strong rider coming down from KZN who had a stellar Cape Pioneer trek, and it'll be interesting to see how she teams up with somebody who's been doing really well, been flying on the road this year, back on the mountain bike for Wines to Wales. See how that goes. Midweek, of course, from the 4th to the 6th is the e-bike race, but also just the fun race. A lot of Stellenbosch locals, a lot of my mates will be riding that weekend, or that week in the midweek. So try to bring you some insights from them as well as to what's going on at F&B Wines to Wales and what makes the Pinotage such a cool event to do. And then, of course, ends off with the Shiraz, the men's race, the elite men's race. It is always fiercely contested, and some changes ahead for the South African mountain biking team landscape coming next year. So it's going to be the last chance for some familiar faces to race together this year, and it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Of course, big prize money at stake always at Wines to Wales, and that always impacts how the racing is. Those 3 days, not particularly long stages, just 65k around there, 1,500 or so meters of climbing, so the guys can really empty their tanks for the last opportunity of the season. After Wines to Wales, personally, I go to the Garden Route Giro's route recce, which is going to be very exciting. Definitely going to be bringing you some insights from what Dryland have planned there and what's in store. Gravel is obviously the buzz at the moment, with Gravel Burn being launched recently as well. That, of course, is taking place in October, end of October next year, and Dryland aim to have their first gravel stage race in the summer of 2026. So quite a way out on both of those still, but exciting developments, and a lot for gravel races, and I think road races in South Africa who want to switch over to something a little bit more adventurous, and of course it's pretty much safe off-road as well. So that's going to be very cool, and definitely going to be bringing you some interviews with the Dryland team and see what they've got in store there. After that, to hell and back. So I stay in the Klein Karoo and ride one of my favorite events. It's boutique without being bougie. EcoBound put on a great event, and the riding is always super tough, especially that second day out of Gamke's Kloof. But spending a night down in the Kloof is it's something that every mountain biker really needs to do, and hopefully we'll be able to tell you why that is such a special event, and speak to some people down there as well to highlight that, because can't just be me talking the whole time about these things. After To Hell and Back, it's the Old Mutual Wealth Double Century. That's on the why am I forgetting the date? The 23rd of November. A unique event. Team time trial, 12 riders in a team. For the races, it's a pretty fast day out. For everybody else, it can be a very, very long one. But it's one of those things that people really look forward to, and I always look forward to covering. It's a beautiful day, and the route is spectacular, starting in Swellendam, going over the Trudeau Pass to Barrydale, and then Opie Trudeau, which I always think it must be like just one of the toughest climbs to do, because it's not that long, but it's kind of just out there in the middle of nowhere in the blazing sun, and then flying down through Montague, Ashton, first time they see their support crews, and then along the Breda River, or along the road to Robertson, then along the Breda River, which is a beautiful, beautiful road. Those jacaranda trees coming over the riders, the teams as they fly down there along the Breda River is amazing. And then that last stretch from the Bonnydale Geller up the Three Sisters back home to Swellendam. That's where many a team's races made or broken, and teams flounder there. So try to get some insight from what it's like racing that and just riding that, trying to get a team home for a Charles Milner medal, where you've got to get all 12 riders across the line within a certain time. I think it's 5 minutes or so of the first rider finishing. But after 200 kilometers, that's no small feat. It's also the Rand Merchant Bank Ultra Trail Cape Town that weekend, the 22nd to the 24th of November. It's a big race, obviously. I would say probably South Africa's biggest trail run. Always has a massive international field and great media coverage. So while I won't be there, we'll try to bring you some insights from that as well, nonetheless. And then the 2025 Absa Cape Epic Trial Ride kicks off for me in the last week of November. For the first time, we'll actually be able to talk about the trial ride and the routes that we are riding, and hopefully bring you some insights into what the 2025 Absa Cape Epic is going to hold in store in terms of the riding. There's some absolutely fantastic single track. First time that the Epic is spending time in Paarl. Of course, finished at Val de Vie in the past, but never ridden the Paarl mountain trails. There's over 200 kilometers of marked routes on that mountain, and the Epic is using, I think, about 160, 170 kilometers of them. So it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be very, very hot. Even in late November when we do the trial ride, I'm expecting it to be hot. March next year, it's going to be blistering, and the heat could well play a pivotal role in the 2025 Epic. Moving on from that, then in December, I won't be there, but something to look out for, and that I've covered on Diverg, is the Comotion in the Klein Karoo. Markedas Adventures have rebooted an event of theirs which happened through the 2010s, and it really is, as Mitzi said, a kuier in the Klein Karoo. It's just a great weekend away with friends, with family, in a cool place. Leeuwboschfontein has become synonymous with mountain biking in the Klein Karoo. There's trails, there's 4x4 tracks, some gravel roads as well, lots of wildlife sightings from the bike, and then swimming pools, kids play area, great food. Just the perfect way to kick off the festive season. So with a lot of these, I'll be linking to the stories in the description of the podcast, so keep an eye out for that. That's one that you can read about on diverge.info, as well as To Hell and Back, read about both those stories. And of course, the Absa Cape Epic route, also find that on diverge.info. But then, first of all, the big thing to look out for this weekend is the Cape Town Marathon. It has become one of, if not the premier road running event in the country, which is saying something, considering it's the country that South Africa is the country that hosts the Comrades Marathon and of course the Two Oceans Marathon as well. But Cape Town Marathon running towards becoming the first major, Africa's first major. And this year they have stellar elite field, best ever field assembled for a marathon on African soil. If the weather plays along, if the wind plays along in particular, we could be looking at new record times, not only for the Cape Town Marathon, but the fastest ever times run on African soil and on South African soil, both in the men's and women's race. So that'll be very, very exciting. Women's South African record is just a shade under the Cape Town Marathon course record. So both of those are up for grabs this weekend, and there's a big prize money as well, $15,000 for anybody who breaks the course record. So that, of course, is huge, especially for South Africans, if one of them are able to win that. So to tell you a little bit more about this year's Cape Town Marathon, Sanlam Cape Town Marathon, I've roped in Renata Bossi. Ren, take it away.
Hi, Seamus. Thank you so much for the lovely intro. Greatly appreciated. I cannot believe race weekend is basically here, fast approaching. It's been a whirlwind to get to this point, and yeah, there's been lots to celebrate along the way, including our second sellout at 21,000 marathon entries, which is incredible for us. But yeah, we are almost there. We are also hoping to pass phase 1 of our Abbott World Marathon Majors candidacy this year. 2 main criteria points we are working on to pass phase 1 are no parked cars on the routes. So you'll see over 900 no stopping signs along the marathon route, which is really our aim to keep cars off the route, or else they'll be towed. This is a criteria set out by Abbott's that we have to adhere to. Another big goal for the event this year, and also another of our criteria points, is our elite field. So to pass phase 1, we need 10 gold label status elites. And last I heard this morning, we have 11 joining us on the start line on Sunday, which is massive for us and really just speaks to the quality of the elite field we've been able to attract. Obviously, there's a lot of appearance fees involved as well, but it's super exciting to have such a world-class elite field taking to the marathon start line on the Sunday. Maybe some fast facts on who'll be joining us and what our course records are. So course records are currently sitting at 2:08:31 for the men's, which was set in 2018 by Stephen McCorker, and 2:24:02 for the women, which was set in 2022 by Meseret Dinker. Both phenomenal times, and yeah, both could break or could fall on the weekend should the weather play its part. A big challenge with our race is always the heat and the wind. The runners are very exposed to the wind along the route, especially in the Woodstock Salt River area, as well as on Beach Road and the promenade coming back into town. So yeah, the wind is a big factor that they'll have to kind of face on race day. The weather's been changing a lot, so I'm interested to see what actually happens, but it is looking a bit cooler than it was last year, which is great news for all those taking part. On the wheelchair race, we've got Geert Skipper, the Netherlands wheelchair athlete that won the event last year. He's returning, which is super exciting for us. He was a super strong competitor. And then we have a whole new women's wheelchair field, which is also great. It's awesome to see how that field has grown. And we've tripled the wheelchair prize money this year, which is another great incentive for those athletes to come all the way to SA and compete. And then, yeah, just on the general elite field, we've got both of last year's winners returning, which is fantastic. Adane Gebre and Siga Haile Selassie. We've got a ton of new names as well. But yeah, let's wait to see what unfolds on race day. But I do have a feeling that the record couldn't fall in both the men's and the women's races. Incredible to see what happened in Chicago last weekend with the world record breaking. But yeah, there's definitely chance for records falling on both fronts. So it's going to be an action-packed weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Thanks, Ren. And then, of course, moving on to other happenings in the cycling world. As I mentioned, a little bit earlier in the show. Gravel Burn, Kevin Vermaak's new event, was launched just the other day. It's a 7-day gravel bike stage race, drop bar specific, exclusively for drop bar bikes. And Vermaak reckons that if you build it, they'll come. And people that do not own gravel bikes at the moment will buy them to take part in the Gravel Burn. That's something that we saw in the early days of the Absa Cape Epic. Absa Cape Epic drove bike sales in South Africa, drove the adoption of 29er bicycles for marathon racing pretty much all over the world. Drove some other things as well, including the use of hydration packs again. Hydration packs for a long time became uncool, came back into vogue. So it's amazing how a big event, a well-organized event, can impact the entire industry like that. So from an industry perspective, I know the bike industry guys are very excited. Spoke to a couple of them at the launch. They're excited about the potential for sales and new riders coming into the industry as well, into the sport as well. So that's very cool. Riders coming across from road or mountain bike into gravel, or even from triathletes coming into gravel. I think there's a big potential for that. Of course, Gravel Burn will be starting in Knysna 26th of October, I believe it is, next year, and finishing in Shamwari Game Reserve on the 1st or the 2nd. Why am I forgetting? 1st or 2nd of November. And they sort of do a loop up towards the north to Graaff-Reinet, and then come down towards the southeast back to Shamwari. So some very exciting stages there, and some spectacular gravel roads in that part of the Eastern Cape. So check out their social media to have a look at that. They've been dripping videos out from their recce, which happened in September. So you can go and see that and share the stoke for Gravel Burn. And then the last item on the agenda for this week's shortcast is team news. South African mountain biking team news. It's always a little bit of a merry-go-round of teams at the end of the season. Honeycomb were the first movers. They announced that they've signed Wessel Botha from Ubuko Pro Cycling. We've heard a very strong rumor from someone who should know that there is a rider heading in the other direction as well. So we'll see when that gets released. But for South African mountain biking fans, of course, Alan Haverly's career is a point of focus at the moment. There is a big rumor that he'll be leaving Cannondale Factory Racing. So I know where he's going, but I don't think we can say just yet on that either. But exciting times, and then of course with Candice Lill and the stellar season that she's had on the mountain bike World Cup scene, it'll be interesting to see how the greater World Cup ecosystem changes, and what the broadcast holders and their plans for the sport, what impact that has on a privateer like Candice, and who she'll be racing for next season. By the sounds of it, she would like to stay a privateer, but time and other regulations beyond her control, I suppose, will tell on that one. We'll see. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed the first episode, and let me know what you think. Remember to head over to diverge.info and read a bit more about those stories.